A quilt. Susan Hudson.
I want to acknowledge my ancestors, what they had to do to survive for me to be here.
She stands with a quilt.
Somebody has to talk for my ancestors. Somebody has to talk about the things that happened to us. The boarding schools, the long walk. So I do my quilts, I do my art because I was gifted this. And I'm going to stand up and I'm going to be loud.
Susan Hudson, Diné, Navajo, 2024 NEA National Heritage Fellow. Sheep Springs, New Mexico.
I'm a contemporary ledger quilter. Quilting for us Navajos is not traditional. It was something forced upon us.
A woman in a vintage photograph.
My mother was forced to quilt in the boarding schools, so she handed that down to me.
She wiggles her fingers.
Original sewing machine. Right here, it's been with me. Been quilting almost 60 years now.
At a sewing machine.
I thought it would work out good. When I started having my kids, I realized if I made quilts, I can sell them. So that was my way of making a little bit of money. Former Senator Ben Niles Campbell, we made a trade for some quilts because he was going to have a giveaway. And then he was telling me, he goes, hey, your stuff's kind of boring. And I'm like, what? And then he says, think outside the box. Don't think what everybody else is doing. Think outside the box. What do you really like? And then that's when we started talking about ledger art. If you look in history, if you look at the pictures and stuff, it's a story. It's about war, it's about birth, marriages, falling in love, the death of somebody. And we adapted to use whatever material was in front of us. This is when that little light bulb went on in my head. I liked the adaptability, the colors, and it was somebody's story. And I could relate to that. And I said, that's what I want to do.
A woman and horse beneath a night sky.
I did this for this lady because she had also lost her mother. Part of that process of morning, waking up like it's a dream, but then just screaming my heart out wherever I was, whether I was even driving in a car, pull over and just scream. That agony, and even my divorces weren't that bad, but that's what I did. So I did it all in the nighttime because that's when you can be yourself at nighttime when there's nobody around.
5 women dressed in skirts and blouses file into a round cabin built from logs.
The importance of quilts is there's always a story behind that quilt. The first one I made is on the long walk. The second one is on the missing and murdered indigenous relatives.
Dresses hang from tree branches.
And the next one is on the boarding schools.
A quilt shows changes to children's language, hair, clothing, and name.
I wanted to bring voice to the voiceless.
Shaking a man's hand.
To tell them how resilient we are as Navajo people. That we're human. This is our land. These are our people. I took that and I forced people to listen to what I have to say because I'm speaking for them.
Outdoors, 6 people pose in front of a quilt.
I make a quilt. Millions of people are going to see that quilt, and millions of people are going to learn about my story. And especially, they're going to give a voice to my ancestors and to my mother. That's why I tell those stories.
At dawn, Susan sits sewing by hand.
A lot of times when I'm working on something, I can feel my ancestors with me, with the women right there. They're the ones that guide me to where I need to go. They'll be telling me their stories, and I know I'm not alone.
A row of trees.
I want my children, my daughters, and my granddaughters, and my descendants to carry on the stories and to stand up and say they are Kianis.
Susan stands with arms around 2 women. In 2024, the National Endowment for the Arts presented Susan Hudson the NEA National Heritage Fellowship Award, the highest form of recognition for the folk and traditional arts by the United States government. For more information, visit arts.gov/heritage. Credits include Director, Producer, Aurora Bachman.